Your work life is like pretty long. You don't want to be miserable like the rest of your life. And like when you're retiring, you wished that you did something else. Hello, hello, hello.
Hello, hello, hello.
Welcome back to another video podcast. This is Misa.
And this is Yuka.
And welcome to the
Misa
Yuka podcast. If you're new here, we're two sisters living in Tokyo. We were born in Japan, raised in the States. And on this podcast, we have to talk about random things that we relate to each week. And we hope you relate to as well. So what is today's topic, Yuka?
Today's topic is about returning to the workforce.
So our friend Yuka, she quit her job last September.
Yeah.
To like find out like what she really wants to do and stuff. Mm-hmm. And then now she's back in the workforce. Congratulations. Yay. She started in May. Mm-hmm. And now like you're like working every day. Like you're like going to your company, like your office every day.
Yeah.
So I don't really see Yuka often anymore.
Yeah.
Which is so sad. I used to see her every day.
But you're like relaxing at home.
Why do I sound like a housewife?
That's true. But like, yeah,
I'm not like relaxing. I'm just working at home.
I know you're working at home, but like you're more chill at home now. Now that like we're not sharing spaces.
Yeah, you know, but it's also like I am talking all day, to myself now.
All day to yourself. That's good.
That's really good.
Not including me.
Yeah. Because Yuka never listens to me anyways.
I mean, she talks to her plants probably.
Just kidding. I know. I talk to my plants. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But anyways, so today we're just going to be asking Yuka, I guess we're going to talk about the pros and cons about not having a 9-to-5. Mm-hmm. And having a 9-to-5.
Okay.
Or maybe change of plans, your journey from quitting your job, and then not having a job for half a year, and then finding a different job that's a better fit for you, right? Because I feel like a lot of people want to kind of change careers, change jobs and stuff, and that's also really difficult. That's also taxing to the brain, because you might be thinking oh, what if I don't find a new job next? Or what this is a good career or a good job anyways. What am I to think? Who am I to think that I might get a better job?
Right.
Or you might, or another fear if I quit this job, will I ever get a better job next? Right? Those are some fears that you can kind of feel when you first quit your job without another one lined up.
Right. Those are definitely the fears that come up, and no joke, they come up.
Right?
So.
And then even after you quit, I think another phase is you might be thinking, oh, I shouldn't have quit. Right?
No, that didn't come up in my case.
Oh, that's good.
That didn't come up in my case, but what came up was I don't think I'll ever find a job that fits me or that suits me ever. That's the fear that came up when I was actually interviewing, going through the interview phase.
Right.
Of finding a new job. I think that was the biggest downside that I experienced.
I mean, I still experience that. I believe in that, actually.
You believe in that?
Yeah.
You believe in failure?
No, I believe, that I would never find a perfect job, if I,
well, not even,
a
perfect job, I was, I don't think I'll ever find a job, period.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Like that, and then, I would have to, go into a job that has nothing to do with what I want to do, you know?
Right.
So... But yeah, those fears, I feel they absolutely come up, and it's inevitable. But it gets better, you know.
Okay. So can you get us through the phase of when you quit your first job, your mindset when you first quit your job, and then and then your experience looking for not doing anything, and then realizing, oh, I think I'm gonna get a new job,
right,
and then getting the new job, because I know you were going through a lot of interviews too, and I think your interview phase was pretty long too.
Yeah.
And I feel like you were just going through a lot of meetings with other companies. Yeah.
Yeah. So quitting my job, I feel like the day I was quitting my job, I was I'm really happy.
Yeah.
Right?
I think that's the first sign.
Yeah.
If you feel happy and not stressed out quitting your job, you're in the right direction.
Yeah, you are.
If you're kind of stressed out about quitting your job, or you are, period. If you are stressed out, you might not be ready for it.
Right.
Right. Yeah, because I think 6 months or a few months earlier, I asked Yuka, how do you feel if you quit your job now? And you said you would feel stressed.
Yeah.
And so that wasn't a good time.
And then you were you should not quit your job right now.
But then a few months later, I asked, when you decided to quit your job, I asked you, how do you feel quitting your job? And you said, I'm happy. It's oh, that's a really good time to quit your job. This, you're on the right path. Right? So, okay.
And during when I quit my job, I had enough savings,
right,
to get through probably a year of not working.
Okay.
But getting that the Japanese government pays you for what is it called?
Being unemployed.
Yeah, being unemployment payment. They pay you for about 3 months.
Right.
But that's it. And so with that, I was okay, I think I can do probably 6 to 12 months of not having a job.
Right.
So then that's one of the reasons why I was able to make that decision, first of all, and I had nothing, no strings attached, so I didn't have to think of a family or anything.
Right.
So it was kind of an easy decision, I guess, than other people.
Right.
Would say. Yeah.
So I think you had an exit plan.
Yeah.
Right. The second point, first point is if you feel happy quitting your job, but then the second point is if you have an exit plan.
Right.
Right. So if you are if you have your numbers in your head and about finances, how much you actually spend in a month, and then how much you will be able to survive with that amount of money in your bank without having income coming in monthly anymore. Right. So you had an exit plan, which is good. That's the second thing you need.
Right.
When you quit your job without a plan.
Yeah. That's the second thing.
Okay.
And then so I quit, and then I for probably 5 months or something, I was just doing a lot of things, I feel.
Yeah, I feel you were doing a lot of content creation with me.
Yeah, content creation, podcast. I built some interior furniture, just building things. Right. And what I realized was that I like to build things that I can see, and I want that thing that I want to produce, or the thing that I made, to be out in the world. Right. Whereas my previous job, everything was a consulting job, so I would give out ideas, but that's it. It's not being
right, you wouldn't actually see the product that you made.
Yeah, so that's what I, the one thing that I realized. And I was oh, you know what? It's not that I didn't like my job. Right. It was that, I didn't like the way the company was, doing the job. Right. So then I was I think I can go back to the workforce.
Right. So now the next step, I think, you identified.
Yeah. Right. The problem.
Yeah, you identified the problem, and also identified what you really enjoy doing by actually taking action and doing different things. Yeah. And in order for you to do that, you also had the time to do it. Right. Right? Because if you were stuck in in a 9 to 5, you don't have the time to explore. But then you had the time, and you also had the money. Right. Be able to, you're not dying every day. Right. Right. So you had that, and that's why you were able to try different things out. And since you tried different things, you were able to identify what you really liked and you didn't like. And then you also had the time to reflect.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Because if you're like really stressed out in a job, like it's really hard for you to have enough brain capacity to even like think about what you're gonna eat for dinner.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
And so that's why I think you have the time and money to reflect and take action to do different things so that you can identify things, so that I think you were able to kind of like clear up your mind.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And kind of go back to your roots of like building things. Like, oh my god, I really enjoy this.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then like and then you probably felt like happy like doing some of the things. And you've also maybe like realized that, oh, are there other things that you realized about yourself? I think like you were talking about you want like a structured, like you like to work with other people, like you don't want to be alone. Do you want to talk about that? I'm like your mom.
I missed working as a team, or I think that's like the one thing that I've always wanted to do. I wanted to work in a team, but I was never able to. And content creation, that was really fun, but it's also kind of like editing by yourself, even though you're taking like the video together. So I was like, okay, this is like kind of like a team, but that's like not like the like what I'm expecting. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like content creation is a lot about like it's done in solitude.
Yeah.
Most of the time. So a lot of content creators are like introverted people.
So I mean, yeah, so that's like one thing that I realized. And what was it? And then another thing was like just like quitting my job. I was like, I didn't have to use Japanese anymore, so I would be talking in English every day with Misa. And then I was like, I don't think I can go back to an environment where I have to speak Japanese like perfectly. You know what I mean? So another thing that I realized was I want to be able to use my English at work.
In Japan. Yeah, and I think that's like I think like being able to identify all of that, like you are able to like kind of narrow down your choices for your next
really
job.
Narrows down.
Which also like even though that also causes you to have less companies in your choices, but also it will, I think like that really like leads you into a happy career, like a happy job.
Like knowing your work values is really important, and you won't know those values unless you try things out and not like understand what you really like, and what you don't like, and what you need. You know?
Yeah. And I think that was like really key, and like you identified like what you don't like and you like, because then you are now able to maximize like your skill sets so that you give like the most value to the company with less effort.
Yeah.
Because I feel like before, and like me too, like I think I was like giving a lot of effort for like little impact because you weren't working on your strengths, right? But then like since you're able to identify your strengths and what you really like to do, you're now able to work on your strengths so that you can provide more value with like less energy expended.
Right. That's true.
So I think that's like really important.
So that is like the third step?
Yeah, I think that was the third step.
And then the fourth step is like, oh, I think I need to do interviews, right? Because like I need to find a new job going into the workforce.
Yeah.
I interviewed a lot.
Yeah, you interviewed a lot, and like you also got a lot of help from like agencies, like recruiting agencies. I used
a lot of recruiting agencies.
Yeah.
I used like this agency that like kind of like applies for you. Right, that was really cool. Yeah, but they there's like that type of agency, and then there's another agency which is like headhunting. So they like it's like a recruiter that's like, okay, let's apply to these jobs, and they like ask for your consent, and then you say yes, and then they'll apply for you. I think those are better than like the one that's like kind of like, okay, pick from these. Oh yeah. And then it's like thousands of like jobs.
Right.
It's crazy how there's so many jobs out there.
Right.
There's so many choices.
Yeah, there are.
Yeah.
Like, it's not just, like, the big companies that, like, you can work for. There are so many, like, niche down companies that they're really good, too. That just are not, like, you don't even know about until they find it for you.
Yeah.
What did you, what did you, like, 大切にした? Like emphasize, or, like, what did you...
Like, my
make
values?
sure that you had, like, when you were, like, in this interview process.
Right. So they always ask about, like, what are your work values? So it's kind of like the thing that I said before, but, like, working in a team, being able to work through, like, the development process, and then also working with English, or being able to use English.
Right. And then, like, so when you were, like, in the interview process, like, with the actual interview process with the companies, like, what did you value then? Like, when was you... Because I know, like, you kind of, like, stepped down from a lot of interviews. You're like, I'm actually not going to do it, so I'm going to, like, email them, like, I'm going to step down from the interview process. So, like, what was, like, your, like, mindset, or, like, your like, thought process on, like, stepping down or, like, moving forward with a interview?
Right. So, I, like, applied a lot just so that I can get some practice going.
Okay.
Yeah. So they weren't, like, I don't even know these companies, but it wasn't, like, great, but it wasn't bad, so I just applied. And they would give me the interviews, but they would be, like consulting companies, and I knew that I didn't want to go into a consulting company. I wanted to go into a company that had their own product. So they would just be, like, if they gave me, like, the next, option to step forward, I would just be like, no, I don't think so, just step down. And then there's also this thing where I just didn't really vibe with the person that was interviewing me.
Yeah.
And then it just made me think, like, I would have to work with that person.
Right.
In the future, maybe. So then I would be like, okay, that's not great either.
Right.
So I would step down.
I think, like, the vibing part is, like, super important. Like, even it's just, like, 4 letters, like, vibe. It's, like, so... I think it's, like, the most, like... what I value the most. Like, vibing with that person.
Yeah.
Like, because even though they're interviewing you, you're also kind of interviewing them. Right? It's, like, what can you give me?
Yeah.
It's not just, like, about, like, what you are giving them. It's about, like, what the company and the people are giving you as well.
Right.
It's just a win-win relationship. So it just can't be, like, a... like, they're taking everything away from you.
Yeah.
Right? So, that's, like, that's one thing.
Yeah. And I think those were the reasons why I stepped down from most of, like, the companies. Yeah. And I think, like, you were kind of, like, torn between 2 different types of companies, right? And they were kind of, like, both really different. Yeah.
And, like, one was, like, super fast-paced, and you might be able to, like, work in, like, more English stuff, but it was, like, super fast-paced, and, like, you might be kind of stressed out. And then the other one that you're in right now that you actually picked was, like, more, like, relaxed, not that fast-paced, but it's, like, also a little bit more predictable than, like, unpredictable. So, like, but I know, like, you were kind of torn between 2. So, like, what was, like, your deciding factor?
My deciding factor was, I knew that I would, like, enjoy both of them, but I didn't want to, it would go into, like, the fashion industry. I think it's super fun, but I just have a lot of friends who are just, like, it will tear you down. And,
right.
Like, it's, like, stressful.
The fast-paced one was, like, the fashion industry.
Yeah. So I thought that was, like, not, like, ideal for me.
Right.
Just, like, thinking about my future, I knew that I wanted to, be more...
Work-life balance?
Yeah. Like, the work-life balance was kind of, like, super ideal for me.
Yeah, I think, you really like work-life balance. I'm more of, like, a work person.
Yeah.
But you're like a work-life balance person.
I think there has to be a balance part.
Yeah.
Just like so that you can
enjoy
like your relationships too. Not just like yourself, like taking care of yourself, but like
other people
too. And so that's really important. And then, and then like the last thing was like I think it's something that you said to me.
Mm-hmm.
It was,
I helped my little sister.
It was like, you said that this one company, the fashion industry company, like their main language is English. So then everyone can use English. But the other company, their main language is not English, but they like do business in English.
Mm-hmm.
So then you were like, I think you would be more helpful in a place where people can't speak English and you can use that to your strength.
Right.
So then I was like, that is so true.
Yeah.
And then so I chose like the other company.
Right. I think that's kind of true.
Yeah.
But also at the same time, like being in an all English place is really amazing for me.
Yeah, I think...
Because I work so much better in English.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that is really true.
Yeah.
That is really true, but, yeah. I think I would have had fun either way.
Right. I think, like, there are no, like, right answers in, like, getting a job and stuff. Like, even, like, you know, even if, like, entrepreneurs, like, all these different jobs that are out there, I think, like, at the end of the day, everyone just wants to, you know... I don't know, like, find a place for themselves, right? And then also, like, be able to put food on the table and stuff like that. So, but yeah, so how do you feel, like, now you're back in the workforce? Do you feel like, I don't know, do you feel renewed? Or, like, do you have any advice of, like, people who are kind of, like, thinking of, like, changing jobs or something?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, really? Yay, let's get advice from Yuka. Yuka's advice session.
I feel like if you feel like you want to change your job, you should. If like that's like your gut feeling, you should. Because I did not work for probably 8 months. Like literally 8 months. And nothing changed actually. Like my financial state, I can still provide for myself.
Right.
Even though like it's definitely like at a lower, you know, my finances are low right now.
But that's so like,
but it's like temporary.
Yeah,
you know?
It's really temporary. It's ephemeral.
Yeah. But that's like the one thing that I was kind of like, you know, like a big awakening. It was like, you know, I made that decision 8 months ago to quit my job so that I can rethink about my future. And I am not dying.
Yeah, like you didn't go homeless.
Yeah, I didn't go homeless, which was like...
And yeah, cool. You're still here and like nothing has changed. But
other people that like... the people around me are still like saying that they want to quit their job but they're not taking that action.
Right.
But I was like, I made that action and I did something good for myself.
Right. And like I think the only thing that changed in you is like the fact that you are happier and that you know more about yourself.
Yeah.
And then you took the time when you're really young to like really understand what you like to do in your job because like you are after college you're working in your work life. Like your work life is like pretty long. You don't want to be miserable like the rest of your life and like when you're retiring you wished that you did something else, right? So like if you're like in your like 20s 30s I don't know. Like it's like so important to kind of like to take the time and not be like so afraid to really think about what you like to do. Because seriously, like if you're living like an 80 or 90 year life, right? That's like really 0.00001% of your life.
Right.
That you might not have an income.
Right.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Such a big deal, right? It's not, so that if you really think about it, but I know it's like really hard to think about it if you're in your daily life routine. You're like thinking of, oh no, I might not have a salary for next month, but that's literally just 0.01% of your lifetime. Right? That you're investing in.
Right.
And that you're like taking the time in so that you have a better life in the future. Right? So like that's how I see you. Like the only thing that you change is like everything in the positive.
Yeah, everything is in the positive. But that like knowing your work value was like another like the second biggest thing that I needed to know.
Right. And so you took the time to know.
Yeah. And those work values, the 3 work values that I had in mind, they actually match my current job. And even though, you know, going to work is like an hour away on the train, and it's like
every day,
kind of like
draining
sometimes. Yeah. It's still really fun. Like working is really fun.
Yeah.
So I think getting to know yourself is like super duper important.
Right.
In order to sustain your life.
Right. That's good. And now Yuka's happy.
Yeah.
And we're all happy that Yuka's back on the podcast, even though she's in the workforce again. But I think like there's a lot of things that like, you know, you can talk about now too. So yay. So let us know in the comments below if you are like thinking of changing a job, if you are in the transition period, or anything that you related to in the comments, or you can also DM me on Instagram. Alright, so I hope you enjoyed this video. Our community is growing and growing day by day. Thank you so much. Yay! So if you are new here, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And I hope you guys are having a great day
and a great life.
I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!